and welcome to another edition of Take 5 with your good friends, your buddies, your pals, Groz with Gas.
You know, Groz, and good to see you. We haven't praised our overlord and head guy, Jason Puckett, for a while, who post-produces our little get-together and puts it up. I've got the list. Would you like the list of places where you can get the Groz with Gas Take 5 podcast, Groz? I know you would.
I would.
Apple, Spotify, Overcast. Right. I've never heard of that. Pocket Cast. That sounds vaguely dirty. Podcast ad, mobile browsers, well, of course, Castbox, Amazon Music, iTunes, Podcast Rep, Podbean, Chromecast, and other. There's even other. So if you're not finding this, it means you're not cool.
You're not looking.
I guess. Yeah, you're
not looking. We're available everywhere,
and we're in now. I think over. Excuse me, I got to lay off the Marlboros before the show. We're now in over 20 countries. We've added Turkey to the list of places where we now have been downloaded, so we're everywhere.
We're going to play a game in Turkey. We're going to go to Istanbul.
We're in our little picking contest, and I really like the Colts this week. And then just typical of the way you think as a gambler, I just assumed the game was in Indianapolis, and then I look up and I go, oh, it's in Germany. Oh, I'm screwed. For some reason, they're not going to. Now I hate them. I hated them from the get-go yesterday.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, they're also playing, I think, next week in Madrid, right?
Yeah. They appear to want to be a worldwide brand.
Well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you when you're putting out the product they're putting out? It was another great weekend of football. I mean, it was
especially up here in the home of the 12s. My God, did they look? The second half was a little kind of a weird game. Right. Human nature, they're going to relax. Arizona's pissed off, so they're going to finish strong. Little worried about the turnovers, but just a little. I mean, overall, such a dominant performance, and now a fun game against the Rams.
Well, Mike Varell, I think, wrote it in the paper today. It's exactly right. I mean, for one of the few times one of those old cliches is exactly right. They're next man up. They are not missing a beat when they're having guys replace other guys. And they had a lot of quality players that were out yesterday. And if you didn't know it, you wouldn't have known it. I mean, they played just as good as they played last week and the week before. The 30-points in the first half. They really are having guys step up and match the guys that are playing before them. So they've got tremendous depth. I mean, that's something that's really obvious in this team. Tremendous depth, which should serve you well as the season goes on.
Well, and their stars made big plays yesterday. Their defense, we've seen this before. I'm not saying it's quite Legion of Boom yet, but we've seen what it's like when you have a team whose defense just feeds off energy and turnovers and really makes teams pay when they make mistakes. And that's kind of how it looked yesterday was they just, you make the slightest mistake and they're going to make you regret it bigly. And they did.
Yeah, they did. And, it's one of the things that the Legion of Boom had going for them in a big way. And I don't expect these guys to have it going for them the same way. But remember, Gas, they almost never changed the defense up. Right. Almost always left everyone out there and forced teams to adjust to them. And this defense does that to a degree. It really didn't blitz a whole lot until this week. They blitzed some, and it worked. 5 sacks on Jacoby Brissett. But, when you're dictating to a team what you're going to do, by not changing your personnel, I don't know if there's a more intimidating factor you can have on defense when you're doing something like that. And that's kind of where it feels like they're getting to me.
Well, and especially then you factor in, you're on the road. The crowd is into it. The defense is dictating how you're going to play and what you're going to do. Arizona, it was funny. We talked a week ago, and we were talking how great the Seahawks are. And I said, yeah, but this is the NFL, so Arizona is going to get drilled tonight on Monday Night Football by the Cowboys, and then they're going to come in here and play great. And it was the exact opposite. And again, it's the NFL, so who the hell knows? But Arizona looks like gangbusters against Dallas and just crushes them, and then comes up here and can't get out of their own way. And so, again, I'm probably going to go to my grave still comparing week-to-week results in the NFL and thinking they matter in any way, shape, or form, when they clearly don't. They have nothing to do with anything. More, I think, in college football, but in the NFL, it is that day and that game and how are you playing and how are you adjusting. And boy, the Hawks yesterday, I said, Darnold with the 2 picks and the second half, you go, he's still got that hanging over him, right, Groz? He's still got can he win when it's huge? I mean, that's going to hang over him until he does it.
Yeah. I mean, really, he's played so well, and I didn't think much of those miscues in the second half because they had the game. That game was never not under control for them. We'll see this week. I mean, this week is a champ. Pete Carroll said every week is a championship test.
Right.
This week is one.
Yeah.
I mean, you're playing the Rams, you're playing Matthew Stafford, who is the hottest quarterback in the game right now. They beat the 49ers by 22 points in San Francisco yesterday. So, I mean, they're playing just as good as the Seahawks are right now. I believe these are the two best teams in the NFC for sure that are playing this weekend. And again, what you said is going to be true. When the week is over, we're off to another week, and it'll be a whole different thing. But for this week and this Sunday, you got the eyes of the NFL, I think, are on these two teams. I think that they may be, both of them may have what it takes to pass Philadelphia up this year.
And it's interesting because at the start of the year we were talking, and as always, when a team's in a second year with a new coach, first year with a new quarterback, it was impossible to guess how they're going to be. I was a little optimistic. You were a little pessimistic. Neither one of us said, well, they're going to be, at this point in the season, there's some people say, hey, they're the team to beat. I don't know if they are or not,
right.
But there's some national attention on the Hawks. Like, no, these guys, you better look out for them because they are going to be a handful for everybody. And I saw them being pretty good, and I saw the West not being good, and the West ends up as pretty good, and the Hawks are better than pretty good.
Yeah, they are. And the second half of the season is going to be a lot of fun up here, man. Feels like we're finally getting our chance to have back-to-back seasons currently run seasons go well. Having the Mariners have a great year, and then stepping right into the Seahawks having a great year, and maybe the Kraken can get it started the second half of the season as well, and make it a trifecta.
And the Schneider thing, John Schneider. If they come through this year and they end up winning the West or, winning 11 or 12 games, maybe winning a couple of playoff games, who knows how far they might go.
I know where you're going.
At some point, you got to look at him and go, wow, this guy took them. They got to the Super Bowl. They won it. They could have won it a second time. And then they had the downslide that you have, but they never got horrible. They were okay and never went all, and now all of a sudden, after a couple of good drafts, appear to be, back on the upswing a little bit. It's at some point you gotta back up a little bit and maybe give him a tip of the cap.
Oh, yeah, do more than that, man. It's about time he was named Executive of the Year. I mean, this is ridiculous that he hasn't been yet, and this is a tremendous accomplishment, especially with the chance he took took a chance with Darnold, let Geno Smith go, and he had some success here, and every move he's made so far, including the hiring of McDonald, has paid off. So I think he's way overdue for that acknowledgement.
Well, and you think about this too, Dave. He and guys at that level in this sport are supremely confident people. That said, when he decides to, it's like the family. When he decided to make a move on Pete, so okay, you're rolling the dice, man, because if this doesn't work, people are going to really crush you because Pete's incredibly popular.
Right.
Even for a coach that was in the downslide a little bit, incredibly popular guy up here, beloved, Super Bowl champ, headed for the Ring of Honor, all of that. And you forced him out, and then he went to the Raiders and started winning. Well, that didn't happen. And I don't think what happened at the Raiders, it has nothing to do with Schneider, obviously, but Schneider, that was gutsy to make that play and say, no, let's get rid of him and let me take charge. And Jody Allen bought it, and it so far has paid off. It's an interesting move because if it hadn't worked, he'd have been a very unpopular guy in town.
Yeah, well, let's hope they keep it up because they're really playing. They've shown at the very least, Gas, they can play with anyone. They truly can play with anyone, to use another tired old cliche that happens to be true in this case.
Let's move across town to amateur athletics. Man, oh man,
what tough one, man. Tough one.
We've both been bullish on Jedd Fish, and a lot of Husky fans are not. He is not a popular guy among Husky fans, and he's really not popular after the egg they laid Saturday, which is about as bad a defeat as I can remember for this team. I mean, you can think back to last year in Rutgers. Last year was a rookie team across the board. Right. I mean, I just don't but this team's been together a little bit, and they go into this month, they had to be thinking, we take care of business at Wisconsin against a pretty lousy team, and then beat Purdue, and then beat UCLA. Now all of a sudden you've got a chance maybe to beat Oregon and go to the playoffs. Instead, just a crushing defeat at Wisconsin. I didn't see anything good that could come out of that game.
No, I mean, this was a team that was way bad. It's been bad all year. They haven't been good defensively. I mean, they have tough place to play. We'll concede to that. It's a tough place to play, but, it wasn't there. That's an excuse, and Washington's not making them. They just simply did not fire. They just did not get it done. And, they're finding out what you've known, Gas, and I've known for living in the Midwest, that, these games in the Midwest in November and December, no matter what the team's records are, can be really tough.
Yeah.
I mean, Oregon barely survived. Iowa's a pretty good club, make no mistake, but Oregon was lucky to get out of there with their alive, and this is a game you thought they'd have won easily too. So they won, though. That was the bottom line there, where the Huskies did not win. And so we'll see what they're made of. We'll see how they bounce back as the schedule rolls on for them. But it was sure a disappointing game.
Yeah, and puts them now where, I don't know how realistic the playoffs were for them. Maybe if they went out and they beat Oregon, they were going to be, because it's hard to say. I remember last year in the early November, everybody thought they had it dialed out, and then teams lose and they fall out of it. But losing to that team and that way where they just kind of were pushed around, and Wisconsin, to me, and I think people know this, it's not like people haven't seen Wisconsin games before, but now that you're in the same conference with them, they remind me a lot of Stanford, the old Stanford Pac-10 and Pac-12 teams. They're never great. This is as bad as I ever remember them be, but they're big. They got Winnebagos on the line. I mean, no matter what, you're going to have to really bring your lunch pail. We're borrowing cliches right and left, and they And that's kind of how they looked, and it just looked like Washington got the starch taken out of them and never really recovered. They had some injuries along the way. The weather, it's funny because they go, well, Washington plays this kind of weather all the time. No, they don't really. Nobody does. Nobody plays in that kind of weather all the time. They just don't.
Yeah, not really.
It doesn't favor. I think it favors maybe the home team. It certainly favors the team that's in the lead, because you could start thinking, I don't care if it's raining, we're ahead. But when you're behind and you're on the road and the stadium's all geeked up and they just want to win, and then it's raining and now it's snowing, I mean, it just becomes impossible to do. And no, it's like the old thing of, I'm a really good driver in snow. No, you're not. You just haven't had an accident yet. No one's a good driver on snow and ice. What are you, crazy? No one is. I mean, it's dangerous, man.
Well, yeah, the thing you got to do is avoid those upsets when you can, like the guys in your head did. I mean, Indiana had every reason to lose that game to Penn State the way it played out, and yet they didn't. They showed their mettle, I think, because every team's going to have a game like that. Every team's going to have one where it'll define whether or not they really are at the next level, and that's a game where they're not playing good, or they're on the road or something like that, and they managed to pull out a victory somehow. That's exactly what Indiana did yesterday. On Saturday. Of one of the many great games. It's just a great weekend in college football. Huskies notwithstanding. Every week has been a great week in college football this year, I think, and this week was no exception. That Indiana game was spectacular.
And to finish, I mean, I could go on obviously all day. I'll say this much: as I continue to live in this bizarro world, and I'm trying to just enjoy it. I'm not trying to be too cocky. I just want to have fun and enjoy, because this is 100% unexpected and 100% enjoyable. And I get my phone Sunday morning, and I open The Athletic, and this is the bizarro world I'm living in now. The headline of The Athletic, can anyone beat Indiana? I'm like, what planet am I living on?
Right.
This is the lead story of the New York Times
wasn't crazy enough
thing. The lead story: can anyone beat Indiana? I don't know, man. They're and I gotta say, and again, I'm in the bag for the guy, my guy Signetti. That interview afterwards, where he almost started crying. I mean, it's refreshing to see that, like a guy who, for all his bluster and all his bravado and his leading with attitude, and we're gonna be good, you could tell that for a minute there he was like, I really cannot believe what's happening here. Even as confident as it reminded me a little bit. There's a great interview with Dale Earnhardt Sr. the year. I think it was the year he ran over a tire clamp at the end of the Daytona 5. He's way ahead. He runs over like a little clamp, a 39-cent clamp, and flattens his tire. And he's talking afterwards, and he's doing the whole, just a long race, and these things happen. And then all of a sudden he stopped, and he didn't say anything, and all of a sudden he says, damn, I cannot believe what just happened. Like, you can see by the way, and I thought Signetti let the wall down for a second. Like, man, how did we do that? How did that kid make that catch? Omar Cooper. It's a fun story. It's fun when sports is fun.
Yeah, sports a little sad around here though over the weekend. A real icon on the Seattle sports scene passed away. A guy who's been immortalized with a statue as he should have been in Climate Pledge. And like my wife is always always is frustrated when Hall of Fame awards and things like that, awards go to people who posthumously.
Right.
And this is her pet peeve. She just hates that they do that. And fortunately for Lenny, that was not the case. We're talking about Lenny Wilkens here. That, he was alive to see it and understood, I think, what the community that he dedicated his whole life to, basically, after playing, meant to him and what he meant to us. It was a sad day because Lenny Wilkens was, well, I guess the statue says it all, doesn't it? He was the preeminent NBA element in this city in their history.
Yeah, no question. Won the championship. The first super, and that's the thing. It's interesting when your sports history starts when Seattle's did in terms of pro sports. You can trace it back. Well, who was the first superstar in New York history? Well, probably Babe Ruth, but I mean, you got to go away. People know Lenny. Lenny was somebody, I saw this somewhere, and boy, it was accurate. There was a connectivity to him. He was connective tissue within the city. Like, if you didn't know Lenny, you knew somebody who did know Lenny. And the number, you start looking online, the number of people that have photos with him. And I went to his camp. Right. I mean, he impacted so many people, and was, for being from New York. And I'll always say, the thing about Lenny that cracked me up is I'd close my eyes, listen to him talk, and he sounded exactly like Christopher Walken. I know they grew up in the same area. I mean, he sounded just like Christopher. He had the same, kind of speech pattern. He was pretty unaffected by it all. And just, again, I put the story on Facebook last night. He told it on himself that when he and Atlanta were $5,000 apart. The Hawks had moved from St. Louis to Atlanta. They're $5,000 apart on a deal. And Lenny won't budge, so the Hawks say, all right, screw it. We're trading you to Seattle. And he's like, no, wait a minute. And he was like, he said, the day they named the street after him, he says, I came here kicking and screaming. He never said I hated Seattle. He said, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't want to come to Seattle. I didn't want to be any part of that. And, like so many, including the two big mugs you're enduring right now, came here. I don't know, I won't speak for you. I wasn't expecting to be here for the rest of my life when I came here when I was 30 years old. But the city does something to certain people if you've got the right attitude and the right eyes and the right temperament and all. So I think a lot of people relate to Lenny for that. He got here and he and his wife just loved it. And he coached all over the country in great cities and always lived here. Had apartments in the other cities, but always came back here.
Didn't just live here, but made the area better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
made his community better for decades. So it was a little disappointed with how it ended for him with Clay Bennett and the Sonics. I thought Clay Bennett abused him. I thought he used him.
Yeah.
Lenny, I think, was just trying to do his best. I mean, he was trying to hang in there and see if he could save the team. I didn't think that was going to be possible. I thought it was too bad that he got a little bit tarred by that, but not really. I mean, at the end of the day, it does not meet any kind of weight. He was a towering figure, a great guy, and certainly will be missed. I mean, certainly will be missed. Just a great figure here.
Lenny wasn't alone. There were a lot of people who bought into the, hey, you know what? We're going to be positive and help Clay get this done up here. You and I kind of fell into the other camp on day one. Like, he didn't buy this team to keep it here. We end up being right, but I mean, I could see the other side of saying, let's try and I remember people calling me saying, you guys got to back off a little bit. So I'm not going to back off from my opinion if I think it's correct. And again, you're right. It's not a big issue in the thing. Something about Lenny I didn't know, Groz. I don't know, you may have known this. You think about it and it's obvious, but I saw last night somebody post, he's one of only, how many guys do you think went into the Hall of Fame as both a player and a coach in the NBA, in the Basketball Hall of Fame? I would have thought there'd be more than a handful. There's only four. Four. One of them has a direct tie to the Sonics, so I'll give you that hint. Another Seattle guy who moved here, and Bill Russell, Big Bill.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I think it was
so he's in as both a player and a coach. Lenny's in as both a player and a coach. One of Russell's teammates, old Tommy Heinsohn. Casey Jones is a great guess. He's not in as a, I'm not sure.
Probably not as a player.
He's in as a player. He's not as a coach. Okay. Heinsohn went in as a player and a coach, and Bill Sharman went in as a player as a coach. So it's Heinsohn, Russell, Sharman, and Lenny are the only ones who went as players and coaches, and that's something. You're thinking like Greg Popovich. Not going in as a player. Phil Jackson,
Nope.
great coach, maybe the greatest coach, not going in as a player. I mean, Lenny was a very good player. I added it up and then I subtracted the games where he was a player coach. Lenny, only Don Nelson, if you count coaching as an appearance, only Don Nelson appeared in more NBA games. Don Nelson's at about 3,500 as both a player and a coach. Lenny's at like 3,390 as a player and a coach. So an incredible impact on the game and an incredible impact up here for Lenny.
All right, let's change gears a little bit to the, I don't know what I want to call this, Gas, to the gambling world, the damage that's being done to Major League Baseball. This story about the Cleveland Indians, and we've both been looking at it today and yesterday as it's come out, and you get all the details about it. I'm not going to say it's hard to believe because I didn't expect something like this to happen, but actually it's hard to believe
for the amount of money involved.
Everything, and betting during games.
Yeah.
Betting on pitches during games. And how do you think this is not going to be found out by people?
Yeah, if you're Class A and you're sitting on a $28 million deal and you're gambling to make an extra $5,000, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And maybe it just shows you, people say, oh, it's a weakness, it's a disease, it's whatever. Man, at some point there's personal responsibility, and you're just stupid if you're doing this. I mean, if you're willing to risk... I mean, if somebody had come to you in the middle of your highest earning days as a radio guy and asked you to do something that you knew was 100% illegal, I'd like to think you'd at least have said, all right, well, I'm going to get a lot out of this if I pull it off. I mean, $5,000 is nothing. $10,000, that's what they were getting for this? It's crazy.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
And there's no way these are the only two. There is simply no way. Because they told other friends, right? They're like, hey, look at this. Look what I'm doing right now. All you got to do is throw one bad pitch. You're not back in the game. You throw one bad pitch and you make $12,000.
Tip of the iceberg, Gas. And the other thing, too, about it is something I used to tell the late, great John Clayton all the time when he would talk about an NFL team coming to Vegas, and I was always saying, they should come. And John said, we're not going to come because of the gambling problem. I said, who's got a vested interest in gambling not affecting the games? Vegas. So it's kind of the same thing with these guys, too. Now, the guys who are doing the betting things, they don't benefit by having these things happen.
Right.
So they're the most aggressive watchdogs about the whole thing. So to even think you could get away with this is sad. But I mean, the fact that these are, one guy is the best closer in the game, and is betting on pitches. I mean, this is insane. It's insane. And you're right. It's just the beginning of it because, no matter it's happening in college, it's happening all over the place. And it's just starting. You're right. It's just starting, and it's too bad. And some games are going to impact a lot. Some it won't.
Yeah, and it is happening everywhere, but specifically within baseball, these two guys talk to other guys because you do that.
Absolutely.
You do that. Hey, if something cool, if I found something cool that I thought would interest you, I'd go, hey, Dave, look, we're friends now for 35 years. Of course, I'm going to say, there's guys that know each other. There's hometown guys. There's relatives. Hey, this is an easy way to pick up some extra cash, or or maybe it's your like both of us. Maybe it's one of our no good Nick brothers who needs a little extra money, and they come to us and say, "Hey, help me out here. Throw a pitch in the dirt, and I can make $15,000." Like, all right, really, who's getting hurt by this? But it's then you look back on it, it's like, man, oh man, did you have a lot to lose? Your old line, who has more to lose here? And it was Class A, and man. They're talking about
we lost it all,
and
going to jail,
prison sentences like big ones. I don't know. They can maybe negotiate that down, but boy, it's no good, Groz. It's like our old friend Cortez Kennedy. Remember when he was upset about things at the Seahawks? He goes, "It's like a country club out here. It's no good."
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, the NFL could withstand something like this. I don't know that Major League Baseball could withstand something like this if this becomes as big as it might be. I mean, they got to be on top of this immediately, especially since they're looking at going on strike, perhaps.
Right.
I don't want to mention that, but that's coming up in a year. So, I mean, they got to get their ducks in a row on this thing. But,
right.
They've got to do something about it because you got to at least not allow people to bet on every pitch, for crying out loud. You need to have 1,000 bets going on in one game.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's funny. Our friend Don Borsten and I spent the afternoon losing money rapidly at the Emerald Queen Casino. We go there once a year and bet some college football and have a few laughs. And for us, it meant, we pick like 7 or 8 games and bet them and then sit and watch and see what happens. And this week we watched our teams lose and generally be out of the games in the first quarter. I'm watching guys with their phones and I'm watching guys run up to the kiosk And I'm like, I don't have the mind for that. That'd drive me nuts. But kind of what we've talked about, this betting every play.
It feeds the worst instincts in a gambler, because you can always chase it. You can chase it immediately.
Right.
You don't have to wait till next week. You don't have to wait till the next game. You can chase it in 5 minutes.
Yeah. I will tell you one thing we chased, and we did make a little money back. I'll give you my big 5-star lock. What's Jim Moore has his smoking lock of the week? Smoke this, Jim Moore, our fellow puck sports enthusiast. Your Hawaii Rainbow Warriors are now 13-1-1 against the spread in their last 15 home games in Honolulu. Wow. 13. So there you go. They're playing Wyoming at home in 2 weeks. Bet your house on it, or don't, actually. It's not a good idea, but it
probably isn't.
That's right. Would you like to finish with you like learning things. Would you like to learn something about the masked birch caterpillar?
The masked birch caterpillar.
It'd be funny as hell if you said no and clicked off. No, I'm out of time, guess. Now, scientists already know that masked birch caterpillars can create vibrations. That's how they communicate. But what they've learned is they primarily, these are pepper grain sized insects when they're born, and they need to get groups together to build cocoons so they'll live. So the way they find out if they want to be in a group together or not is they do something called anal drumming.
What?
Yeah, you heard me. Anal drumming. There's what's a woman named Mary Yak who's studying this at the International Congress. Mary Yak.
Mary Yak?
Mary Yak.
Studying anal drumming?
Yeah. Anal drummer fan from way back.
Amy Yak.
And, excuse me, Jane Yak. I don't want to get Amy Yak. It's Jane Yak. I got her name wrong.
Okay.
She's a biologist at Carleton University, and she was at a conference in Montevideo, Uruguay, where she was explaining that these little caterpillars use their little butts to scrape against a tree to get other caterpillars to pay attention to them so they can build a cocoon together. They call it anal scraping when they're not calling it anal drumming.